The following tutorial is brought to you by WholeLoops.com.
It's production time. I'm Reid Stefan, realist puppet in the game. My top 5 favorite EQ plugins. I'm going to show you how I use them and why I use them, give you a quick demonstration, and I'm going to start with the one that I definitely use the most. And this is, if you were to get one off this list, the number one that I'd say just get this one, and that's the FabFilter Pro Q2. I use this, let's actually put this on my vocal channel. I have a stem, vocals, and a beat of my song called Pop bounced out. I have the Pro Q2 down here on the vocals, so I'm going to just start it from the hook and show you what I'm going to do. First thing, definitely a low cut. That's just a standard procedure on vocals. Maybe a little, I like to low cut them a little bit steeper, especially on a female voice. Just bump it up till you can start to hear it working. And then back off. Maybe you want a little bit brighter. You can just grab a spot on the line and push it up wherever you like. That's the fun part about this EQ. You can really just put a point wherever. You can make as many points as you want, which is a great feature of this, because a lot of other plugins on this list are a little bit more limited. Speaking of limiter, the only plugin I got on the master here, just for this demonstration, is going to be this Slate FGX maximizer limiter thing. It's my favorite final plugin, but this is not a limiting video. This is an EQ video, but I knew someone was going to ask, so there's your answer. I'm going to put one of these Pro Q2s on the master as well. I'm going to switch it to a low cut, and I like to do the steepest low cut they have. This is a slope that's pretty specific to just this EQ plugin, but when you can cut it at like 24 with this nice steep roll off, you're really getting rid of a lot of the inaudible junk that takes up space in your mix that could be filled by the nice stuff up here. You can hear how the song kind of just tightens up and sounds just nicer once you cut that out.
Are you a music producer looking to create the next Spotify smash? Do you want DJs and record labels begging for your exclusives? Are you ready for the most comprehensive collection of organic samples? Introducing Raw Hits 2, the sequel to our best-selling product featuring over 500 more samples, one-shots, loops, and blazing hot ingredients for your music production. Raw Hits 2 is available now only at WholeLoops.com.
So let's move on to the next one, and that is the Diamond Color EQ by Acustica-Audio. I made a more in-depth video about this before, but what this is just a tone shaping plugin where you can really say more or less of whatever frequency you select down here. It also has its own built-in preamp, which I think is the unique feature to this plugin that I do want to demonstrate in this video. The rest of them are pretty self-explanatory, but you can implement some really great harmonics by turning on the preamp in this. This also has a low cut, but I actually prefer the low cut in this just because I have better control over it. But there's a lot of fun to be had just kind of combining. Boom. Moving on. I use the Massenburg, let's type MDW is the shortcut. I use this EQ so much. Let's get rid of this one because we're going to do this with this plugin. And this plugin does a similar functionality to what the Fab Filter does, but I find it to be far more transparent. So for the same high pass, I love this thing because it almost doesn't even sound like it's being high pass. You can barely even hear that it's working until you get it up past around 200. This EQ would also be great if you were trying to make a remix of a song and you needed to kind of low cut it to get the rest of the music out there. If you didn't have the acapella, I would definitely be using this for that. I also love using this for kind of low pass effects too. This has such a clean, let's put this back at full volume. This has such a clean low pass sound. I never really have heard anything quite as pristine as this. It's just never heard anything quite like it. I'm not sure. It just sounds. They call it a high resolution EQ. That's the only way I could kind of explain it. Just doing that same kind of sweep with any other EQ just doesn't sound quite as clean. It sounds like you can kind of hear the EQ plugin resonating a little bit, and that's what I love about the Massenburg one. Granted, this is the most expensive plugin on the list, and this is also a UAD plugin, so you need UAD's hardware, which is expensive to begin with, and then the plugin is $200. But everything else on this list is definitely less than that. And the very next plugin is actually going to be a free one, and that is the Slate. Slate's virtual mix rack has a bunch of compressors and EQ type plugins in there, and one of these is free. It's actually happens to be one of my favorites. This one called Revival. Let's solo the vocal again because I'm going to show you what this can do to this. Really simple controls. More of boosting, not so much reducing like the Diamond Color EQ is. But a similar sort of texture.
The way I do, I'm making you.
What I don't like about this is it doesn't give you an output control if I wanted to reduce the volume to do a matched sort of A-B comparison. But it's a free plugin. I can't complain. It sounds amazing. I use this on vocals, synths, individual sounds. Not so much on my master channel. But this is definitely a great way to brighten something up if it's not cutting through the mix well. And my final plugin is another mastering EQ, and I would use that in conjunction with this one and this one really. And that is another UAD plugin. It's the BX Control. This is more than an EQ actually. This is a MidSide EQ, which means the left area of controls, which is the same as the right area of controls, is for your mono section. The right area is for your stereo audio. So if you wanted to make your sub, which is in the middle, a little bit less, and your vocals, which is also in the middle, a little bit brighter, you can really nail those with these controls. Let's put the whole song in. A little bit more on the tone shaping kind of thing. You know, if you don't want to spend the time to go in here and really fish through individual frequencies, which you can very well with this plugin, you can kind of just see what these give you, because usually I find something that I like without even touching the above part. But what I always do, I said do again. What I always do is a 400 hertz mono on the mono maker. I love how much this cleans everything up. Also, the stereo width in here sounds really good too. It's really subtle, which is the kind of control you want in a mastering plugin. But those are the 5 that I use the most. I know they're all pretty expensive. I figured anybody who's shopping for plugins has already decided that they are looking for something that sounds better than the ones that come with Ableton, which is mostly the intermediate users of Ableton and up. For the beginners, this is not going to help you learn any better, and it's not going to make your production sound any better if you try and just dump the money on the nice EQs if you don't quite know how to use them or why to use them. But this answers the question of what I use. So if you'd like me to talk about anything else that I do, leave it in a comment below. I appreciate you sticking around throughout the whole videos, subscribing to the channel, enabling notifications. I'll catch y'all next week with another tutorial. Peace out.